What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast. This is episode number 223. And it's gonna be a fun one, but although there is in the world of Xbox not a whole lot of news this week, because this week's been all dominated by Nintendo and the Switch 2. So but we got some thoughts on that, and also Xbox's maybe lack of presence at the Switch 2 Direct, even though they did have something there. I think many of us expected that they might have a little bit more to show up at the Switch 2 Direct, which I'm not gonna say it's interesting, but it is worthy of note, especially with all the conversations we've been having the last year, for sure. And also, hey, maybe some more Switch 2 conversations, what to expect going forward from the Xbox side, and also, something else I wanted to talk about is just this month for Game Pass and Xbox. Is quite a bit actually. Just kind of getting announced shortly that is like just dropping into there. Plus, also, we already have a couple first party releases hitting this month, as well as some big third party day and date games as well. So it should be a fun show tonight. Talk about a lot of that. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. And we are joined today by Pong Soul. He's able to make it for Xbox Ultimate tonight. How you doing, bro?
Doing great. Hey, chat. We got Jasper here tonight too. Mr.
Dude.
Jaspy. It's great to have Jasper here. It's great to have Fuzz here. And obviously good to see you, Mav. Chat, it's great to see you. I think, guys and gals, maybe we should do a little community pool and put some money together and just go buy Ubisoft proper. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, it's down to €9, €9.55 right now per share.
Is that including the subsidiary or
no? That would just be Ubisoft proper. That would be the bullshit side. But I think we could turn it around.
Might be just burning our money at that point.
I think we could turn it around, Jaspy. I think there's enough there that we could make some decisions, right? We'd get a couple games out that they didn't pull over to the subsidiary, and I think we might be able to show them up a little bit. I think we should do that.
What would be the first game we would put out?
Splinter Cell, of course. Yeah, right. It's already in the works. We got it, right?
We put all 20,000 developers on it right away.
Well, as many whoever's left, please, that guys? And Division 3, we would have out the door within a 2-3 year period by having everybody on it, and it would be everything that was, and we would already be doing much better than what Ubisoft is. We cancel Skull and Bones right out the gate, right? That money pit's gone.
We turn it into another Concord immediately.
Yeah. We're gonna completely erase it from the history, from the analogs. So, right. But no, I was just thinking about that because I was watching their stock just continue to nosedive, and their investors get more and more upset at this whole subsidiary deal. This is not going to be fun. Anyways, guys, happy Friday, everybody. Good to see everybody. Yeah, like Mav said, not a whole lot of Xbox news this week, and obviously Mav and I talked a whole lot of Nintendo last night, going over first the ups and then the well, depending on who you are, the crash and burn afterwards. Obviously, it's still going to be highly successful. They're going to sell out everywhere. It's not going to matter. So whatever. But it was still fun to talk about everything that we kind of saw emotionally, the roller coaster that Nintendo put a lot of people through yesterday or 2 days ago. So that was fun. But yeah, we'll get down to business. Otherwise, like I said last night, not a whole lot, not as much game playing as I'd like. I've been touching a lot of stuff, but Adam Fall has been my main. And if you guys didn't hear me last night, quick synopsis. Adam Fall is a great AA game. It truly is. I think there's something there. I hope they get a second one. Much like I talked about with Avowed, I think there's something there, and I love Rebellion. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that, I didn't really, I didn't know much about Rebellion. Nah, I've liked Rebellion for a long ass time. Okay. They've done a lot of good things. And I just love that they jumped outside of their comfort zone with this game. It's by no means perfect. Mav obviously talked about it, reasons why he, kind of tried it and then just got rid of it. And his points are valid for sure. I've seen some of what he experienced in my playthrough, but it's a AA game. And so therefore I look at it differently, but there's a lot of good stuff here. It is really, if you like freedom in video games, this gives you a lot of freedom. It's not completely open, but again, anytime an NPC pisses you off, a named NPC, a mission giving NPC, a merchant pisses you off and you want to just kill him, you can go ahead and do that. I mean, that's I love that. I absolutely love.
Have you killed any merchants?
I did. Well,
I was just
did.
wondering if you like get their stuff like once you kill them.
Oh no, so I kind of said this last night. I did do a save scum on one of them just to see what would happen, because I want to see, because you can save scum in this game, which is cool because I do like to try things out and see what would happen. And what you do is you don't get all of their inventory, but if you did trade with them, you can get all your stuff back again if you really wanted to. So you could technically trade for as much of their stuff as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But there's no money in the game. So remember, you got to have items, and you are limited to how many items you carry. But you technically could trade for all their stuff and then wipe them out and get all your stuff back on top of it. But you probably wouldn't have room for it. So it's kind of a pain in the butt that way. But no, yeah. So that's all that really happens. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying the hell out of Adamfall. I'm about 7 hours, maybe 8 hours in. I didn't get to play last night at all. Really liking it. It's worth a download. There's a ton of play. I'm not going to sit here and tell you need to drop everything else and go play Adamfall right now. It's not like a masterpiece. This is not a game of the year type game. But if you are looking for something that gives you that kind of wide open feeling of kind of go do and explore, like I said last night, this is one of the few games that I turn off. I haven't used the waypoints at all for the missions. Like, it tells me you're not tracking a mission right now. I just leave that. Like, I'm just walking around exploring. I'm completing some side missions randomly, walking into people that I'm trying to locate. That says a lot about the game, because that's how much fun I'm really having just wandering around this area and kind of exploring. It's not the same as Avowed as far as rewarding. You're not getting all this loot and that kind of stuff. It's more of a survival game, so you're finding rusty guns and bows and that kind of stuff. So it's not that type, but it's rewarding in its own way, just by the simple fact that you're finding things that you didn't know you were going to find, or people are
like
introducing themselves. It's
really the initial like 45 minutes, like I really wasn't feeling it, but once I started playing it more like Fallout and exploring more, like that's when it really clicked for me, because like I just came across like this random patch of trees that had a bunch of bees on it, and there was like this dead guy in the middle. It was like,
I just got that. The assault rifle with the scope, right? Is that what you got there? Yeah. That was dope. Yeah, I just got that. I mentioned that last night. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So again, you guys looking for something to play, download it. If you got Game Pass, no risk. It's worth that for sure. It is worth a try, and just see if you like it, the style. And I hope that Rebellion gets to do another one. But anyways, that's what I've been doing. Obviously Jasper's going to talk about it too. That's cool, Jasper. I didn't know you got back into it again. I saw your DMs where you kind of weren't feeling it, so that's cool. But yeah, glad to be here, Mav. Let's get down to business, brother.
Right on, man. I appreciate you, Pong Soul, and the one and only Jasper here joining us. What's up, dude?
Doing pretty good, I guess. I'm a little sore. I just went snowboarding the other day for the first time, so I feel like I've been beat up by a bunch of people. So anytime I move, it hurts. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
It's April. You got snow there still?
I mean, we went up in the mountains. It was still snow. Yeah, it snowed.
I guess so.
A little bit there.
Cool, man.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. They said the people I went said I was actually surprisingly good for the first time. So, I mean, I guess. I'm decent at it.
I've never been skiing or snowboarding or anything like that, so I would have no idea what to expect. I'd probably lay on my stomach on it and just go down the hills and just like, whee.
Yeah, well, I mean, they said to expect everything to hurt the next day, and it does. So,
right on. At least I didn't lie to you.
Yeah.
And you said you got you got to go to work tonight, right? So.
Well, no, there's something going on where I got to like drive someone to somewhere in like 20-30 minutes. So
right on.
It's all secret. It's all secret.
Top secret stuff. He's got to drive the aliens.
Meet aliens.
Back to his spaceship. After he's given them the confidential information about national security. Just something like
Jasper
that.
on his BMX with ET on the front.
This is flying across the moon.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, you just had a podcast about some horror movies and stuff. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you guys. A bit of a weird movie. Not exactly a horror, but it was kind of a thriller. It's What's Inside. Worth checking out on Netflix if you got a subscription to Netflix. Interesting. Definitely a twist of plot kind of thing that you don't see coming type of deal, but just imagine switching bodies with a group of your friends. Like, you hook yourself up to a machine, hit the power button, your mind goes into body A, and the mind from body A goes into person C, and it just be fun. Could be scary, but it's a weird one, but definitely worth checking out. But gaming wise, haven't downloaded South of Midnight just yet. Still playing Shadows or AC Shadows. Need to go back to Avowed at some point. Still playing, Forza Horizon 5 and GT7. Haven't really added anything really new other than still playing a little bit of Balatro. I still suck at it. But yeah, it's fun for a card game. So yeah, that's about it.
Still suck at it. I give you some tips.
Yeah.
Kate keeps telling me that's one that I need to stream at some point. Just because played it so much, and I think there's a lot of people that maybe just dabbled in it and don't understand some of the mechanics with it and stuff. So maybe I'll do that at some point here as well. But yeah, man. For me too, it's just more Assassin's Creed Shadows and Balatro. Kind of great game hopping a little bit. I'm getting the itch to play some more RTS again though. Like last couple nights, so I'm thinking
I
like
keep seeing the Tempest Rising on Twitter every day.
I
They post like
know.
a new clip. I'm like,
and I blame those tweets actually for my itch. I'm getting in my brain
I
right
know.
now. It's like, oh, RTS, and Tempest Rising is high on my list. It's going to be one that I get day one, of course. Unfortunately, it's not coming to consoles as of yet, but maybe if it does well enough over there on Steam, eventually we can get a console port of it. But yeah, that's definitely one I'll be diving into right away. Are you getting that, Jasper?
I'm not sure yet. I think it comes out like the same day as Expedition 33, doesn't it? Or like close to it.
Yeah, I think it's the
So
same day.
I mean, I may just play Expedition 33 because I won't have a lot of time. Just
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean, April's a pretty big month. That's kind of what some of the stuff I wanted to talk about today. Like, but we can get started with it's the Xbox show, but it was anytime you have a brand new console announcement with the showcase announcing all the games coming for it and everything is kind of a big deal for gaming, and also kind of in this instance with the future of what Xbox is doing, holds some even possibly more implications for Xbox selling games and all that other kind of stuff as well. I think me and Pong talked about it a little bit last night. Something that we were a little surprised about, besides the huge shocker afterwards to find out that the pricing of Nintendo games, and now Nintendo's the consoles actually pre-orders paused in the United States because they are reassessing with the Vietnam's tariff implications and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens in the long run with that regard. But for now, as they had announced yesterday, the game pricing is $80, which was a huge shock. But the other thing I was talking about was surprising for me and Pong, I know, was that we saw one actual Xbox game there, which is the least surprising of them all, I think, with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 being announced at that Nintendo Direct is coming for the Switch 2. So I think many of us expected maybe we're going to see Doom: The Dark Ages there. Maybe we would see, like one of these other games that has already been out or coming soon or something announced for it as well. But yeah, it was just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. So I don't necessarily think that necessarily has any kind of reflection on the future support of the Switch 2 or whatever. But at least for this show, which did have multiple third-party announcements added, for Xbox to only have the one that seems like the least surprising game to be there. What was a little bit interesting for me to say, like, okay, well, I wonder when these other games will end up getting put over there as well. So, yeah, but Fuzzy, like, what overall, just what did you think? Because I haven't had a chance to get your feedback on the Switch 2 announcement and the that whole Nintendo Direct and pricing and Xbox's showing up or lack thereof as well.
I mean, I was kind of surprised with just the one game from Xbox being in there. Was expecting at least maybe one or two others possibly, but it goes to show, and a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, they're going to have the whole slate there," and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know where they get their info from. I guess they automatically assume this multi-platform is going to be everything, everywhere, all the time, no matter what. But it was interesting with Tony Hawk being the only one from them. Pricing on the console, my initial thoughts, it lined up with kind of where I thought their price would be. I knew it was going to be like north of 400. Just given they love to make profit on their hardware. Game price, I didn't. Well, I'm a bit torn because I'm still waiting to see if they go a little bit more into detail. Some of the messaging, much like the Xbox One, DRM stuff. I'm wondering if that game share could be beyond just the same Wi-Fi like that. It's great if you're just in a household where you, the family, the kids and whatnot, you switch for each of them, but you only have to buy one game across 4 consoles. That's a cool deal. But it would also seem to make sense to allow some wiggle room where, well, let's say you go on vacation, and you're on the hotel's Wi-Fi. Is that going to count, or do you have to only be saved to one Wi-Fi and whatnot? So I'm hoping they answer some of those, little questions that might help their case on that $80 price. But like I said, the console, even though it's not as powerful as like these PC handhelds, I kind of figure that's where they were going. 80 for digital, 90 for physical. I mean, I still am a bit in amazement that consoles still offer, physical copies still. I would have figured this gen would have been the death of it, by this point. We've already passed, was it 2 or 3 holidays since this gen? PCs haven't had, physical media in a while without it being like a limited run or special case kind of thing. So I kind of figured consoles would have, gone that way. I mean, it makes sense for Nintendo considering how their cartridges were set up last time. So kind of surprised, but not really. But 80 to 90, it just,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it was great. The games that they showed, a lot of third-party support. That's great and all. The first thing that did come to mind before the whole, maybe game sharing could be a way to make that 80 worth it. This is the best layup or easiest opportunity, tariffs aside, that the Xbox handheld has, where if, let's say, third party still keeps to the 60 and 70 on console or what they've been charging on Steam, mostly 60 on Steam, that could be the better layup for those third parties because it will play better, look better, run better, blah, 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 and be cheaper. But then there's the convenience of those buying the Switch because of the Nintendo first party stuff. But if you just want a gaming device on the go, that's their easy layup, provided it's not like $800 out the door. I'm still kind of figuring it's somewhere around $600 because that would be like a entry level Z2 chip. But with that last commercial that ROG Ally did, it looks like they're leading up to something more like the ROG Ally 2 as opposed to just the Xbox edition. So if it's a true second generation or second iteration, like a Steam Deck 2 level, then I'm hesitant to see if this thing winds up starting at 800. But if they have a lower end SKU, maybe a Z2 chip instead of a Z2 Extreme or something, and it's 600, that still might be the better bargain because of the vast library from PC handhelds in general and the first party of Xbox stuff that you can play on that device and still have access to all the third parties and have it run much better, look better, and whatnot. And hopefully by the time a second generation ROG Ally comes out, better battery management is improved. I mean, ROG Ally X, they improve battery management a good bit, so we'll see. But that game price, I don't want to write it off just yet because we all kind of did that with Xbox One with their DRM and whatnot, and some of the stuff from it that they didn't really address or make it digestible messaging, I guess you could say, and get to the good parts or have bullet points of the good parts. We kind of blew it off, and that we lost that opportunity on sharing games in that fashion or trading in digital copies and stuff like that. So maybe they only focused on it being localized, Wi-Fi, and maybe there is something that you can do for, hey, we have 2 kids in college and they're in the dorm and they're still part of the family plan because they're, it's linked under the same account or parent account. Still you should be able to share and possibly play those games at the same time. Because at that point, if the 80 guaranteed multiple licenses better than like what GameShare does on PlayStation or Xbox, then maybe it's worth it. But if it's just a glorified version of GameShare that we have now, and you lose access when you share it to your friend, which would be like the old days of you carrying your cartridges over to their house and then you hope they return it in the same condition that you gave it to them, kind of thing. If it's like that, it's 2025. They should move beyond that at this point, but we'll see. I'm less enthused to consider getting one because, like I said, the third party support, it's great. You get that now on the PC handhelds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Fuzzy living in fantasy land here. This is Nintendo, Fuzzy.
Yeah.
This is Nintendo, Fuzzy. they aren't giving anybody any. This is the company that sold cardboard, Fuzzy, to the customers.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Keep in mind, I was always a Sega kid. Like my sister
know.
was the one that had the regular NES and the Super NES. I never bought any of their stuff. Like I asked the boys before if they wanted the Switch, and they were like, nah. One of them wanted like a 3DS XL or whatever. It was the one that looked like the Pokemon ball or whatever.
Yeah.
Got it for him. I think he played it for like a week or two, and that was about it. I got him the Super NES Mini, and I guess they got tired of it when I kept beating them at Street Fighter 2. So that was the end of that. So my Nintendo purchasing history is extremely limited intentionally, and this was probably the only time I was considering it. So I haven't been beaten over the head with their no sale tactics or charging exuberant costs for cardboard, which I do remember that being funny. I'm like, couldn't you just put those designs on the internet and cut out cardboard yourself for less? And then it wasn't that appealing enough to me to go and find out any further. But yeah, I understand.
Good old cardboard. Yeah. I wonder if they'll have something like that this generation. It'll be interesting to find out. But Jasper, I know you got to go soon, so give me your thoughts on the good old Switch 2 announcement.
So I liked all the hardware stuff. Like the entire presentation was good up until a point of after the fact, like everyone's talked about, where the game price came out. I'm still a little questionable on that, just because there's not really a clear answer for that. Like we saw that Mario Kart digital is 80, and some people were saying the physical's 90. We also see the Donkey Kong's 70, and we know that third parties are going to make their own pricing. So I'm assuming the Dusk Bloods game or whatever from Software, like I'm expecting that to be 60, just because they made that the same price as Elden Ring. Elden Ring never went up to 70, so third party support might still be 60. It's just going to have to be kind of a wait and see. So I'm not like too upset at the game price yet, just because I don't know where this is lining. Nintendo could just be like saying, well, we think Mario Kart is fucking $80 and this is going to be the one-off example. Like, I don't know. It's still stupid and shit. So
yeah,
I kind of got mixed opinions on it.
Yeah, it's for me it was like that was the, like I loved all the hardware stuff too. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And then once that came out, because that's if I were to look at it, right, okay, what would be the point of me owning a Switch 2 over like an Asus Xbox device that's going to come out later this year? It's for the exclusives, right? And if they start pricing them, the ones that they're the must-haves, at that $80, they're never going to go on sale, or if they ever do, it'll be extremely rare, and even then for not that much, right? It's like it's hard for me to swallow buying a game for $80, especially if it looks like Mario Kart. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like, wow, I can make, this one's worth 80. Like the only reason it's worth 80 is because they feel like people are willing to pay it. You know what I mean? And so that goes to the whole, well, charge what you can, and idea behind it all, and many people are okay with that, and that's fine, but for me, that kind of just checks me out of it right there, because I had multiple Switches, and I always was kind of like, okay, well, which game do I want to get, or and it's like seeing games that are like 4 or 5 years old that are still full price, you know, it's always kind of like,
Yeah, I mean,
it sucks.
fucking Mario Kart 8 came out on the Wii U, and it's still $60.
Yeah, no, across the board, like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what game, really. If it's one of the big first party Nintendo games still today, like if it came out this generation, then like it's gonna be that price. So when you set the price bar at 80, that's like, well, it'd be one thing if you could wait for a sale or something, but you don't really have that opportunity with Nintendo either.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I would have probably picked it up like day one, but now I'm thinking I'm probably going to wait till the Pokemon game comes out and then kind of reevaluate then to see if I want to get it.
yeah,
And that's going to be like 6 months from launch, so we'll see what happens.
I noticed the Pokemon game did not have what you've been waiting for though, Jasper, which was
What was
textured
that?
grass.
Oh no, that's 3-bit. I don't give a shit. It's Pokemon.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was 3-bit. That's right. I remember somebody was like, I wonder if they'll have actual textures for the grass and stuff. I noticed the Pokemon game was like
Yeah.
still flat, flat ground. And the bushes look good. But yeah, there was no actual grass there. It was all just flat ground and stuff. So, yeah, but that one is probably going to be a cross between Switch 1 and 2 as well. I think a lot of the games that we saw will be probably on both Switch 1 and 2. That the ones that were clearly Switch 2, the third party games and stuff that are like the support we saw from them, like finally we can put a game on Nintendo's platform, and that's going to be kind of the highlight there. They did have, as Pong mentioned last night, in a weird slight to PlayStation, almost this like almost seemingly Bloodborne sequel as an exclusive for the Switch 2 with was it Dusk Bloods or Duskborn
yeah,
or something? Dusk Bloods, yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
Dustborn. Imagine if they done Dustborn. Can you just flat out?
Yeah,
that would have been bad. That would have been his full sequel. That would have been crazy.
So yeah, ultimately, I think it was exciting for many. Nintendo fans aren't going to care. The kids that are excited for Nintendo games don't care how much the games are. They're just gonna be like, Mario Kart, I want it. And then the parents will go to the store and be like, $80, what the fuck? And then they'll get it. Because they love their kids. Oh, we lost Jasper. He already got kicked off because he has to go. I don't know. Maybe he'll be back in a second. But yeah, ultimately it kind of afterwards what became an interesting conversation. And then we'll have to learn more as it gets closer to launch. I think there'll probably be some more game announcements at some point as well. I thought you just bolted, Jasper, to go drive.
No, Discord froze on me or whatever.
Oh, okay,
so.
right on. But yeah, were you surprised, Jasper, at the lack of Xbox games actually at that show, or no?
No, because I went into it and like I don't know if this was like an old rumor or whatever, but I could have swore like there was some rumor like just before the show where it was gonna be like this was a first party show and then like in June they were gonna have like a third party show out. So I thought that's what was gonna happen. So I wasn't even expecting like third party games here, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, maybe in June that we'll have. Did they announce another June Direct already?
No, but remember that was something we did talk about, man. That's why I did mention it briefly last night that there was a rollout that they were having planned for this. That the first showing of the Switch 2 was going to mainly focus on first party, and then there was supposed to be a follow-up show, like Jasper said, later in the year, where they were going to roll out more third-party stuff. And then I can't remember what they said, the end of the year, they were supposed to have like a 3-phase, they had some kind of 3-phase plan. But yeah, that's basically what this was obviously the initial showing, focused on first party, but obviously there was some third party at the live event where people were able to play it and that kind of stuff, right? So that's where a lot of third party news came from, because a lot of the companies showed up with their games to let people play on Switch 2 and see how they were going to perform. Cyberpunk.
I was actually surprised about how much third party there was at this show.
Yeah, I know.
Ultimately, but then that's when I was like, "What? The Xbox only has the one." But maybe they just like had kind of like one game from each of the, like EA went there and they were like, "Hey, finally you get to play Madden and FC, on Switch, and then 2K came out. Hey, finally you can play NBA 2K and WWE on the Switch. Oh, and also Borderlands. I think they announced Borderlands 4 was coming to
Yeah, Borderlands
the
4 is
Switch
coming to the Switch.
as well, which I think that's gonna be pretty cool to see that on there. Then you had the FromSoft game. You had like CD Projekt Red show up with Cyberpunk. So you had like FromSoft also had Elden Ring. Show up. You had WB show up with Hogwarts Legacy. So across the board you kind of had like Street Fighter showed up as well. You had Capcom, you had EA, you had 2K, you had WB, you had CD Projekt Red, FromSoft. Was there any Ubisoft?
Yeah, they teased Civilization 7, right? Or no, that's not Ubisoft. That's
No.
Take-Two. So fuck.
No, I did not.
I thought
don't think Ubisoft was there.
Yeah, it was, which is kind of strange too, right? Because like Ubisoft always, I remember news coming out like, hey, Ubisoft's going big on the Switch too, and like Ubisoft's gonna be a big supporter of it, and expect a lot of their
Just
games.
might not be ready. Just might not be ready yet.
Yeah.
There's already been an announcement that Star Wars Outlaws will be coming to Switch 2 in 2025.
Okay.
So they did announce that one. That looks like the only Ubisoft right now that's been confirmed to be going to Switch 2 as of right now.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was right after they said Silksong.
Yeah, Silksong. Oh, that was kind of one that flew under the radar, like because everybody's been waiting to see Silksong again and hear about Silksong again. Well, finally we got it at the Switch 2 thing. It's a Game Pass day and date game, but confirmation that Silksong will be a 2025 title. So that's a pretty big deal. It's also a big deal for Game Pass because that just adds another big time day and date game. And for those that don't really know what Silksong is, like Hollow Knight it's kind of like one of those like ultimate gems for the indie game community, right? It just did massive numbers. Like it's kind of like known as a masterpiece to that community, and one that they've just been waiting for any information or news of Silksong ever since it was announced. And to see it here, I think is a big deal for that community for sure. But also for Xbox with it being announced years ago as a day and date Game Pass game.
First 12 months.
Yeah, it was one of the 12-month titles. Right? What year was that? 2022? Yeah. Or that was the
or 3 maybe? I don't remember.
No, that was 20 because that was the 2022 one where they didn't have as many games, right? So they focused that show as like these are all coming out in the next 12 months. Well, then like Silksong was at that show. Every game you're gonna see is coming out in the next 12 months. It's 3 years later. I think it was Replaced at that show too.
I think so.
Yeah, Replaced was at that show. Motorsport was at that show. I think that was just after the announcement for Starfield being delayed or something like that. I went to FanFest that year.
Was Towerborn at that show too?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't know. I don't think it was.
The year after, Punk says.
Yeah, I think it was a year after that one.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, it was just it's so funny. Like think about that. Yeah, I forgot that was at within the 12 months show that they had. That is probably one of the most infamous Xbox like showcases that we've had, and Jasper loved it. Jasper fucking loved it. He was like, I love this format where we just know the games come within the next 12 months. And here we are 3 years later.
It worked out so fucking well. It just worked out.
We got a lot of shit because we criticized it, and that was one of the rare times that we're criticizing something for Xbox and Jasper's like on the other side of the fence. He's like, well, I thought it was great, and usually it's the opposite. But yeah, that show didn't work out so great as far as the timing of the releases and stuff. Going with that, and they'll probably never do that again. Jasper wanted that format every year going forward. Yeah. So I don't think we'll see that again.
No.
He's conceded finally. It took 3 years, but we finally got to concede.
No, I'm still happy with it. We got like 80% of the games. We just missed 20% of them.
Did we though?
I think so. Like
We
think
got
someone-
them. It's just that they were outside the 12 months. Good bit of them.
I think someone did the math. It was like 78% like landed within the 12 months.
Hmm.
Okay, fair enough. Redfall did. That one landed.
Hey, it still exists, unlike some other games.
Yeah, did y'all hear they were planning on bringing that one to PlayStation also, and they had canceled the PlayStation port for it.
They also shut down the whole studio.
Yeah.
True. But there's a lot to look forward to on Xbox coming up. Like, so one that many people are playing right now, is South of Midnight.
South of Midnight.
Yeah, and I've heard like there's some mixed things out there, but like ultimately, I think it's like kind of everything I've seen is kind of what I expected the game to be, right? And I think that ultimately is an accomplishment for them with the praises that it's got in certain key areas with the storytelling, the art style, graphics, the music, all of that kind of stuff. And I've seen quite a bit of conversation about the gameplay and stuff like that, which this is something that we had talked about numerous times, that the gameplay just kind of looked like kind of like basic action game gameplay and stuff. And I mean, many in the community said that it didn't look like that was going to be too flashy or go anywhere or whatever. And the reviews kind of said that over time the gameplay kind of feels like that as well. It's just kind of typical, not to say generic, but just kind of traditional style action game gameplay and stuff, right? But the other aspects of the game is where it shines, and that's kind of what those things are always what stood out to me about the game, is the world that it's in, the setting, the art style, the music, all of that kind of stuff. So it's good to see like all of those things that I was most looking forward to with it actually get the praise.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't initially I didn't have any interest in it, but like I've seen like now the unscripted sections of gameplay that like people are actually able to put out, and like I'm gonna try it now. So
right on.
Initially I wasn't going to download it, so
yeah,
it's moved the needle a little bit.
It's early access release is out there now, so if you want to play it, it's $10 I think for the upgrade to that, and you get the early access and as well as a couple other things, and you can play it now, or you can wait until I think the 8th or the 9th. 8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta go, but you all have a good show.
Hey Jasper,
Later, Jaspy.
thanks for hopping in,
Yep.
man. Have a good one,
Hey,
dude.
Jasper.
Bye.
Bye.
But yeah, I know like Fuzzy, you were one that's been the most kind of excited, I think, for South of Midnight here on Fun Spec Fam and stuff. So have you seen anything that's deterred you or just made you more excited for it?
I think about the only thing, and it wouldn't be a deterrent. It's probably because I didn't get off my butt and pre-order the deluxe edition, because I actually want the physical book as well as the album. And I see that if I order it now, which I thought I had time to do, it won't get to me until sometime in May. But I think that's outside the game. Although I think it comes with a digital copy in that, but I'll probably wind up just paying $10 so I can play it this weekend, because next week's going to be a bit busy by the time it does its official release. So I want to get at least some game time into it, play it, beat it, and then probably hop right back to AC Shadows. But I don't know if I'm quite ready for the emotional tearjerker type, stuff that might be involved in that. Waiting to see if that's going to. I wouldn't say it'll be an issue, but I definitely want to dedicate some time to get this one, completed and whatnot, and try to see if I can 100% some of the collectibles and things like that, because it looks like you can collect, upgrades for your life source to extend it, because it sounds like the later bosses, if you miss out on collecting some of those things, it becomes a little bit of a harder battle, even on like the normal difficulty kind of thing. I think there's like 5 difficulty levels or something, And I'll probably just play it on whatever the middle in the middle or get go, unless it starts really kicking my butt. But I'm looking forward to the story. Love the art style that I've seen so far. Want to see how the traversal feels, because it looks like, as far as like whether it's the wall running or some of the climbing or like the double jump and flying or gliding, that's the kind of platforming I like. Boom's review was about the only thing where I know there might be some slippage if you stand too close to the edge. So I guess it'll just be a matter of just finding the sweet spot on some of the narrow platforms and things like that. But definitely looking forward to it, because I the art style is probably the biggest thing that appeals, and then the lore to the cryptids, basically things like the Jersey Devil, but in the South, like that's the stuff I want to hear about and see what they, how they integrate that into the story.
Yeah.
And then the boss battles, because boss battles that aren't Souls-like can be a ton of fun. They can be frustrating, but can be a ton of fun as well. And I want to see how I stand up to that alligator, because it looks like you got to be quick to dodge that row or column of damage that he's going to lay down. So that should be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, right on, man. Like, there's a couple like these studios that Xbox has that kind of like, you could say like Ninja Theory, right? You could say Compulsion. They kind of like art, I guess you call it art house studios or whatever. They kind of are making these really original, unique kind of experiences that are based in a lot of kind of heart and wanting to tell a specific kind of story, and not making necessarily the traditional games that we see every day. It's not like, hey, this is a game that's this category and it's just like all these other games in this category, except this is our version, right? Like, these games are very unique, and Compulsion has created something that it seems like is going to be very, very unique. And that's the cool thing about Game Pass, though, is because, as something that we've championed for a long time here about Game Pass, whereas a lot of people said, oh, it's just going to be full of filler, and it's going to be full of junk, and it's going to be full of this, and it's going to, and then you have the other ones, it's just going to be full of all games of service games. It's just going to be full of, only for the first party, the big AAA games of service stuff, and then you'll have some random, third party stuff in there. But like, for me, it was always like, hey, this is an opportunity for variety, right? Variety of genre, variety of style of games, variety of scope of games, ambition of games, and it gives games like this a bigger audience than they would have ever been able to achieve to begin with. Because anybody in the chat here and anybody else out there, hey, if you got Game Pass, it doesn't cost you anything more to go in there and hop in and try the game out and see if it's for you or not. And I think that's gonna hopefully help this game get off to a good start. Especially also with the early access stuff. I've already seen a lot of people talking about it. Even in the chat here, there's several people that have already been talking about how they've been playing it. Boom's pension has a ceiling. Said every review has said it's really easy and the combat is mess, so I'll probably pass on it. Can't put down Monster Hunter Wilds. Right on. Marty McFly said, I was playing South of Midnight earlier, and although I would say it's more of a cinematic adventure, there's something about it that had me hooked, and I want to play more. Right. I saw a couple other comments as well. So yeah, it's just going to be dependent on if it's for you or not. But not every game has to be like the system seller type 90 plus meta thing out there. There's room for all different kinds of games, and I'm glad original games like this exist for sure. So Pong, do you see anything?
Variety.
Oh, variety's great, man. You got RTSs, just the games like this, you got all different kinds of stuff. But
no, that's not what people want.
apparently, people just look at scorecards,
Correct.
But what overall, did you see anything intriguing about the reviews that have either made you like, oh, that was surprising, or is it kind of what you expected?
It's what I expected, and I've been upfront about it. Like, I think the characters are dope. I love the story. I love the stop motion. I actually do love the stop motion. I will play with it on because I think it's very unique. So I'm definitely going to download it and try it. There's a lot to love here, but you guys already know I'm not a platforming dude, and people have already said that this has more platforming than they thought there would be, right? So, um, I just kind of knew from the feeling that this was going to be a game that I'm going to try, and I'm certainly, I want to get into the world. I always love seeing new worlds. That's one of my favorite parts of the experiencing a video game. That's why I'm such a grazer, is because I just love getting a taste, even if it's a short period of time, of a world that somebody's created from scratch. And this is obviously one of those, as a brand new IP and a very unique location as well. The Deep South the Louisiana area that we don't get a whole lot of games about. So I do want to see it. I do want to try it out. But yeah, overall, it just confirmed what I kind of thought the game was going to be up front. As far as personally for me, it's not going to be one I stick. I mean, again, I could be totally surprised. Never deal in absolutes. It could be totally up my alley. I could be totally addicted to it and wind up finishing it. But chances are this is gonna be a game I try for a night or two, and then that'll I'll enjoy my time with it, and then I'll move on to something more my style. But absolutely love what I'm seeing. I think it's. Steele's brought it up. I'm going to talk to Steele tomorrow morning about this on Living Split Screen more, because he played Kenna and he called this, months ago, that this game was shaping up and kind of having that Kenna Bridge of Spirits feel to it. And he really loved Kenna. But it came in he called it. He thought it was going to get the same type of scoring as Kenna, and that's what wound up happening. This is one of those games that, yes, it's not your AAA big banger IP that, a lot of people reviewer wise can get behind and push it into the, mid 80s, 90s range. It's one of those games that falls into that smaller game category, obviously coming from a studio in Compulsion who hasn't made a whole lot of games in their lifetime. Really cool games. Again, I like their games personally. And I've been rooting for him the whole time. But this is one of those games that kind of falls in that category where some people are not going to feel it as much as other people. And that's why you get a whole lot of 6, 7, 8s mixed in this batch. And that's kind of where it landed. And it makes sense. Again, it does make sense. And people were talking about the combat kind of wearing thin. It gets repetitive, that kind of stuff down the road as you play it more and more and more. And that's kind of what you see. Again, Compulsion's a smaller studio. This is them taking another step forward. However, you can tell the quality level. One thing that I read in the reviews, and again, I read bad reviews and I read good reviews, trying to get a mix. And you look for
commonalities.
If you're going to look, if you're going to look at reviews, and again, I always say it doesn't fucking. If you're interested in the game, go fucking play the game. You guys all know this. But if you're going to read the reviews, one thing you should look for is common themes throughout the reviews, especially if you look at a good, diverse selection of reviewers. And there was common themes in this one, and one of them was storytelling, characters, music, right? The world itself, the atmosphere, the art direction, right? Most people agreed that Compulsion nailed like all of those things. And I think that speaks volumes for where Compulsion is coming from We Happy Few, where there was only a small portion of us that actually really enjoyed what they were putting out there. Hats off to Compulsion for making this game, and I hope this is enough for them to show that they've got the chops now, and I think they do, and the talent in-house to put together a complete game like this, which they didn't get the time to do with We Happy Few. They ran out of money and ran out of time. So I love it. I love to see it. I'm glad a lot of people are enjoying it. But yeah, I think this will be a game. I'll have some thoughts next week. Obviously, it drops on Tuesday. I will have downloaded, and I will try it day one, and I'll play it for a couple nights and let you guys know. And like I said, maybe it'll surprise me. But right now, it's shaping up just like I thought it would. So, yep.
Yeah, right on.
Excited for me.
Right now, it's sitting at a 77 on Meta, which is a good score, for sure. I don't wait too much on reviews too much. Like everybody's praising the first Berserker Kazan, which just came out. It's sitting at a 79. You know what I mean?
It's a good game.
Right.
Again, high 70s for everybody who doesn't understand this. Don't listen to some very loudmouth, weak-minded people who tell you 7s and 8s aren't good anymore. And again, I know that's the IGN statement. We said it was good. It's a 7. Okay, don't listen to the other people, but honestly, 7s and 8s are good fucking games. They really are. Like that's.
I mean, some of my favorite games of all time were 7s.
Correct.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Is it 360 era game? Like there was so many that were in those 7s, and I just have so many great memories of a lot of those games. Chrome Hounds, Shadowrun. Like some that are kind of like cult classics with many people.
Like Shadowrun was a 60.
It might have
Yeah,
been. I just looked it
Shadowrun
up.
was.
Chrome Hounds
Yeah.
was a 71.
Yeah.
And let me see what Shadowrun was.
I think it was in the 60s. I'm pretty sure. It might even it was
Shadowrun. It's hard to find because so many Shadowrun games now.
I know. That's what it was. 66.
66. Wow. God, that game was so fun, dude.
It was great, but nobody wanted that. Everybody wanted the RPG. They wanted the sci-fi RPG because that's what Shadowrun was.
Yeah.
And Microsoft still needs to do it. By the way, you cowards, bring it back. CD Projekt Red just opened up the sci-fi RPG genre again to you. Bring Shadowrun, because Shadowrun actually has different races like elves, and you can include the magic that CD Projekt Red doesn't have because they're more the futuristic sci-fi stuff, whereas you got fantasy mixed with sci-fi in Shadowrun. Sorry, my Shadowrun rant. I hate that they're not using this IP.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many unused IP and stuff out there. Like, I kind of like what PlayStation did with like some of their older IP. They went to Bandai Namco and were like,
yeah,
hey,
please go license Microsoft.
Yeah,
go,
whoever's
go
not
Xbox,
using stuff, make deals. Like
please.
any of these publishers, make deals. Let somebody make some games. So yeah, I think April is a pretty big month for Xbox. We got lots of games coming. May is going to be big too because we got Doom of the Dark Ages coming around the corner, right? But yeah, leading up into the June showcase season, like it's just going to be kind of filled with plenty of stuff to look forward to and play. Like this month alone, we're just having South of Midnight drop. Clair, like I mentioned earlier, Clair Expedition 33 is launching soon as well. For PC gamers, you got Tempest Rising coming out. And then on Game Pass was Expedition 33, but you also have a lot of other stuff just dropped. Like they just put Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition in there. If you haven't played Borderlands 3, I highly recommend it, but you're giving you the Ultimate Edition for that, so it comes with all the content and everything. Surprising, Pong, they finally Diablo 3 hits Game Pass. After all this time, after the ABK acquisition,
I'm telling you, I've already said my frustration, so it's hard for me not to be frustrated with this ABK situation. Like I've said my opinion. I think they're holding back on purpose because they're going to raise Game Pass Ultimate and they want to create more value by then dropping the majority of ABK into Game Pass. So this is tough for me to talk about. I mean, yeah, this trickle out of these games is ridiculous. And Diablo 3, go play Diablo 3. They broke it in the beginning. I still enjoyed it, but they broke it in the beginning, but they fixed it completely. Diablo 3, it's a completely different style. It's not as dark as what most Diablo players wanted. That's why everybody was really happy with Diablo 4. Diablo 3 coming is cool. I mean, again, we need the ABK back library into Game Pass. That's a promise that should still be kept to this day. So Diablo 3 jumping in there is cool. And if you haven't had a chance to play Diablo 3 and you enjoyed Diablo 4, or maybe you wanted a little bit more arcadey Diablo than Diablo 4, Diablo 4 kind of took us back to 2, a little bit more difficult. If you want something more arcadey, go play Diablo 3. The loot system that they finally fixed after years and years is phenomenal, and they're still supporting the game. They still have seasons going on. So Diablo 3 has a ton of content, a ton of gameplay that you can get for nothing if you own Game Pass now. So go try Diablo 3. It is overall a great game. I beat it with my kid, and Steele and I went back and beat it as well. So I do enjoy the hell out of Diablo 3. It's a really good game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got South of Midnight, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Diablo 3, Borderlands 3. You got GTA 5 again is coming. So those are some of the older ones that they're putting back in there and stuff. But you also got Commando's Origins, which is something that I know Pong's probably going to want to give a go.
Yep.
That's coming on April 9th. And I'll be giving that a go as well. And then later this month, you got Towerborn hitting game preview, but Game Pass day and date also for the game preview on Xbox. As well this month. That's on the 29th. And there's a couple other big releases kind of mixed around this month as well. But overall, it's pretty damn strong time. April's usually not the busiest month for gaming.
Doesn't matter anymore, Mav. There's no downtimes anymore.
Yeah, there's definitely not this month, right? I mean,
No.
we just had Adamfall drop into there. Like, I know that was, but technically, I think before April, but it's still right around.
It was right at the end of March.
You're right
It
at the
was
end of March.
right,
Yeah.
right at the end of March.
Same thing with 33 Immortals.
Yeah.
Yeah, 33 Mortals had just hit Game Pass day and date, and there's a lot of people enjoying that one. But yeah, it's just like there's really, and most of these games, like I know Towerborn's date was announced for the 29th, but all the other ones I said were all for the first half of April drop, right? So there'll be some more surprises for the second half of April as well, leading into May when we'll have Doom: The Dark Ages, which had a preview, which I meant to talk more about on FSP this week. But it didn't get around to it because we were talking so much about the Xbox handheld, the Asus device, and all that stuff. But yeah, overall, like the Doom: The Dark Ages previews, I've seen a couple of people that were like, not for me. I prefer the faster pace, but for the most part, I've seen just insane glowing positivity and excitement for this Doom, calling it potentially the biggest and best yet. I think it has a potential to be the biggest Doom yet for sure, especially also with scope. I already saw one report about the amount of levels compared to Doom Eternal. There's several more levels in this even than that, and each level also is quite a bit larger as well. Fuzzy, was there any main takeaways you saw from the Doom previews?
Shield. Throwing the shield at stuff, using it as a battling ram. Yeah, I'm gonna love it. That's probably the biggest thing. I thought there were going to be more like medieval like guns or like the skull gun basically, or I was thinking something like a harpoon gun or something to that effect. But the fact that they're still going to have like ray guns and things like that was pretty cool as well. Like I wasn't sure if that was like off limits for the time period kind of thing. Things and zap them. Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. The slower pace is more up my alley because my eyes are getting older and fingers moving slower. So the slower pace, I think, will be more to my liking than like for 2016 or I forget the other one that I got, the one that came after that. But yeah, I like what I saw so far. Yeah.
Yeah, right on, man. And we already talked a little bit about it, Pong, but are you like, I think you were kind of like me where you were more into the old school Dooms, right, than the newer school Dooms. But did this kind of get you more hype for a modern Doom?
Yes, because no platforming. This is freaking amazing. You're going to give me giant fucking mechs. You're going to give me dragon riding. Second of all, that 4K, or first of all, that 4K wallpaper that they put out, that needs to be a poster. I posted underneath that. That's one of the most badass video game posters I've seen in a long time with the dragon sand behind him, behind Doom Guy. That needs to be a physical poster. I want that framed. I will buy it and I will frame it. And I hope they do launch it on the Bethesda store. Anyways, yes, this game looks more my Doom. And again, I feel for the people who want what they got out of Doom Eternal. I played Doom Eternal. I don't know. I probably put 10 hours, maybe. I don't know, something like that into Doom Eternal. Too much platforming. I can't. I'm not gonna do it. It was fun as hell. Don't get me wrong. The action, the fast pace, that's really cool. But this one right here, with it being stand your ground is their motto. Yes, there is going to be a portion of the Doom fan base that probably doesn't like this one as much as the other ones. But for me, like Fuzzy was just talking about, yes, this is more my style. This is more ground and pound Doom. Like, I'm into this. It doesn't have to be bloody fast anymore. It has to just be bloody. And that's what we're still getting, because you're getting chainsaw shields. You're getting the skull crusher gun that shoots out bits and pieces of skull. You're getting all of it. You're even getting the finishers. People thought the finishers were gone, but the finishers actually aren't gone. There was some videos showing that as well, which was awesome. I love those finishers from Eternal. So yes, I said it before after we saw kind of the big during the Xbox. I can't think right now. Anyways, um, when we saw the Doom, I said right away, like, I haven't been this excited for a new Doom in a long ass time. And I think this could be game of the year quality Doom. I think the reviewers are going to appreciate this Doom, maybe even more than they did with Eternal. I think this could be id's new kind of benchmark when it comes to Doom. It's going to be different, but I think this might be the benchmark for Doom. The atmosphere looks fantastic, like you're talking about. I think for me, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is really high. If this is towards the top 3 on my list this year, I think, for most anticipated games. So, I'm not going to say it's my most because then it'll get delayed, because I keep doing that. So I'm not going to say that this time around. It's up there for me in my most anticipated this year. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I saw it too. I was like, man, this is looking sick. Like, I want the dragon levels look amazing. You know, like the mech levels look insane. I like the change of pace that those are going to give you from just the standard gameplay. But also, like, this seems, from what I've seen, also there's like this enhanced amount of exploration and stuff for it as well. As the main levels are a little bit larger, you know, in scale, it seems like. So, but then it's more my pace. But the cool thing is too, that something that they had already announced previously, like, if you want a faster pace style, you can actually jack the game speed up. You know, so you can increase or lower the game speed to your liking. So if you want just complete balls to the wall, run and gun, go crazy, you can jack it all the way up. If you want more of that middle level, kind of what we saw in a lot of the previews, you know, that's where it's going to be at. Or if you like really want to slow it down to help you out with your timing and all that kind of stuff, you can do that as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be kind of that mix of, like, it's evolution for Doom again, because they've already evolved with, you know, 2016, then Eternal, but this is like kind of like another evolution for the franchise and stuff. So I'm looking to forward to playing it for sure, more so than I ever was 2016 or Eternal. Even though I did enjoy my time with those games, they didn't hit as well for me as the past Dooms, like back in the day when I really was actually really loving that franchise. And now that we're getting this one, which seems like maybe it's a benefit of them being first party with Xbox, getting more time to create something that's bigger in scope and has a little bit more ambition behind it as well. There's a possibility there. I don't know if they've actually said that or not, but it kind of says that to me when I see it. You know, like, this is bigger and better because we have had more time. That's just kind of what it says to me. So it's going to be interesting to give that a go. May 15th, big day. I think that could. I'm wondering if that'll be, like, out of all the Xbox games that launched this year, besides Call of Duty, obviously there will be a new Call of Duty at some point announced. What do we think will be the home run, the biggest release this year for Xbox? Will it be Doom: The Dark Ages, or is there another surprise for the fall? Ninja Gaiden 4, maybe? I'm trying to think of all the games they got. They got so many. Oblivion remake, possibly. Gears Collection, possibly. Maybe
I mean, Outer Worlds 2,
yeah.
if it shows up and they take it to the next stratosphere, like, if they actually, which they could, this is Obsidian, and they've obviously learned a lot. Outer Worlds 2 could be the surprise RPG of the year, right? And we know how much people love RPGs. And we know how big sci-fi is right now. Uh, it it's I'm not saying it's gonna have the most fanfare up to the launch
Yeah.
day, just because Outer Worlds 1 was critically acclaimed, and it did pretty well for itself, especially once the DLCs, they had a couple really, really, really good DLCs that kind of pushed that game forward. But again, it didn't have the biggest fanfare. But I think Outer Worlds 2 might surprise. But outside of that, unless there's some kind of Gears surprise with the Marcus Phoenix collection showing up, or something like that, I think Doom probably has the biggest potential this year, because I think that this one might, with the stand your ground pacing, while it might upset some fans, I think it might introduce more people to Doom. More people might take a chance on this Doom, because a lot of people do get intimidated by the run and gun, the extreme run and gun that we
Mhm.
saw out of Eternal and that kind of stuff. So I think, and the platforming. I think some people might. I think you might have a bigger audience for Doom this time around. That might be the biggest game this year.
Well, this
I
will
mean,
also
obviously, you
be
got COD.
this
So
will
I mean,
also be the first release when they've been in Game Pass day and date also,
correct,
right?
correct. Yeah.
So I
So
think
a lot of people get to
Xbox
try it.
Anywhere, all these other kind of features and advantages they'll have to reach more gamers, and it'll be Steam day and date, all these other kind of things. Is this one they're putting in the Blizzard store also? I wonder. Um, they did that with
I don't think
Avowed,
they've
I think.
mentioned it.
So I'm not sure if
Yeah,
they're doing that with this.
I don't know if they've mentioned anything about it. Like Avowed, I think was like that experiment.
Hmm.
We'll probably see it with a couple others. I don't think they did it with South of Midnight, so I think they're kind of like testing things, but they're also hard at work on something in the background. So we'll hopefully the stuff that they're working on in the background gets an announcement here soon. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about it for the Activision store.
Yeah, right on, man. I mean, I think Ninja Gaiden could be one of those games too.
Ninja Gaiden could be huge too. I mean, it
Yeah.
could blow up.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
sure.
Call of Duty obviously is going to be every year will be the biggest seller probably for Xbox. I Forza Horizon launching on PlayStation is going to be a big deal. That happens this month, as well as
Yes.
Indiana Jones launching on PlayStation. This month will also be a big deal. So those are two more things happening in April. So that there should be more of that happening later this year as well. But yeah, it's kind of weird because we're every month, kind of until the end of the year, you're going to be seeing kind of bigger Xbox releases, first party titles, games launching here or there, Game Pass drops, and then we're getting closer. Showcase season's getting closer and closer, man. It's I can't believe it's already fucking April.
Yeah.
Like, where did the first 3 months go?
It was sucked up with all the games we're getting. It's
Yeah.
like time flies when you're having fun. So they keep stacking us up with games. It's like, yeah, time is moving way too fast, or at least it kind of feels that way right now. It's like you look down, play the game, you look back up, it's like 2 months later, like where'd the time go? So
Yeah. And Pong, you made a good point about Outer Worlds. I think it has a chance to be bigger as well. When the
Mhm.
first Outer Worlds launched, it was it had been published by Private Division, right?
Correct.
And it came out and it received massive praise, right? But it was like you could tell it was more of a AA budget and stuff from that being a um not an indie publishing side, but every one of these publishers kind of has their like partnership publishing group, and that was 2K's was Private Division, which has since
Mhm.
been shut down. But at the time, that I think Outer Worlds was their biggest release for Private Division
Yeah.
that they had.
Right.
It did amazing things for them, and I think kind of losing Outer Worlds kind of maybe hurt Private Division a little bit with their capabilities of what they could do in the future, right? But overall, you see Outer Worlds. I think it sold like over 5 million copies even for a first release from 2K as far as partnering with Obsidian on an RPG, and as a new franchise, new IP. But it's kind of established itself a little bit, right? And Outer Worlds 2 looks, from what we've seen, the last trailer we saw for Outer Worlds 2 looked fucking amazing, right?
Yeah.
It looked like Outer Worlds, but it's like, it is more
Bigger,
Outer
badder.
Worlds. Yeah, exactly. It's what you would want from a sequel of a franchise that you're already in love with, right? So I think it does have a chance to do bigger and better things also than the original. So you got that, you got Ninja Gaiden, you got Doom, and whatever surprises they could potentially have for the second half, which maybe we'll find out in June, which is only 2 months away now. Crazy to think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to tell what's going to be that game. They could end up having a couple games show up kind of later in the year with some of that conversation. Game of the year type.
I think from a
Type games.
sales standpoint, I think it winds up being Call of Duty, Forza Horizon 5, and then Doom. Doom will do well, but I Just a gut feeling Forza Horizon 5 is going to do some numbers. So we'll see.
I'm wondering if the Indiana Jones conversation will pick back up a little bit again when it launches, about how great that game is, because that game
Hopefully.
is absolutely amazing, fantastic game.
I think it will. The Troy Baker talk will
Yeah.
pick up again too, about how great he did. When people play it that haven't played it, even if they've heard some clips, when you're actually playing the game and you're doing it for, like, you're playing for, a couple hours, 2-3 hours in a sit down, how natural it becomes to hear Troy Baker as
Yeah.
Harrison playing Indiana is nuts. And he really, I think people will be kind of shocked by it. Just a long play period, what kind of impression that leaves, because it is pretty incredible for this, who is a big old school indie fan. I mean, it really hit me as I was playing that game longer and longer.
Yeah.
So
It was
Yeah.
interesting too, the release date reveal for it, where they had, they teased it like, hey, something happening tomorrow or whatever, and then they had like a picture of Troy Baker sitting on the couch, and then the next day when they announced that release date for Indiana Jones coming to PlayStation, they had this like video, right? And it was basically it was Nolan North talking to Troy Baker, right? So it was Nathan Drake, inviting Indiana Jones to PlayStation, kind of. And in a weird way, I kind of think that was actually really smart for them, for the PlayStation community that is so familiar with that voice of Nathan Drake and Uncharted and that franchise, to kind of see this like hullabaloo of like, hey, you're coming to PlayStation now from that voice, from that character, right? Was kind of like, okay, like this, I see what they're doing with that, and it kind of maybe could resonate, that kind of marketing towards that fan base, where that fan base was beforehand, maybe a lot of times like, oh, it's an Xbox game, it's gonna be shit, it's first party, or it's first person. Oh, we don't care about this like first person adventure stuff, like now it's like, oh wow, our hero is inviting them to PlayStation, like in this like mental fuck that they have, so I kind of thought that was actually smart at first. I was like, oh, that's kind of whatever, but then I thought about it and I'm like, man, that's actually really smart marketing there, to have their own kind of face of one of their most popular franchises be like, hey, welcome aboard, pal, Um, so we'll see it. We'll see how Indiana Jones does over there. I think it's gonna do pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think they're starving for some big games too, right? Like, I mean, those both Indiana Jones and Forza Horizon 5 have been on the top pre-order charts, I think for a while now, over on PlayStation Store. So
And Doom's up there as well with what do you call him? Tony Hawk, not too far down the top 20 or something.
yeah,
But
which will probably raise up as it gets closer to launch also. And Doom will be definitely a lot higher as it gets closer to launch as well. It's just crazy seeing that, like, the pre-order charts on PlayStation just filled with Microsoft first party games, or now third party games, I guess, But
yeah.
to dominate it like that, like with all the different iterations of the copies of the games, like you got the ultimate editions and the deluxe editions, and you got the regular editions, all there. You see Forza, Indy 4, and just oh, here's Doom. It took up six out of the top 12. It took up 6 of the spots, and then Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was sitting in there, which is a Game Pass day and date game as well. Which is also good for Clair Obscur Expedition 33 to be in the top 12 for pre-orders on PlayStation, as well. So that shows that game still has some really good hype about it. I'm excited for that release this month also. Yeah, it's a crazy world we live in to see this year with all that's happening. But
it's the takeover.
we said this is going to be a Trojan horse effect, right? We said that early on. I was like, could you imagine like what happens if like on the Circana reports where they talk about the top 15 games played and engagement and stuff, the Xbox already had 4 of them usually. Overwatch 2 was always showing up. You always had, for a while, Sea of Thieves was showing up in there. You had, obviously Call of Duty's number 1 as well, and
Minecraft.
And so you said like 4 of them in the top 15, right? But I was like, imagine a world where we actually see like over half of the games showing up on the engagement list for PlayStation being Microsoft first party games.
Hey, then that PlayStation will be an Xbox.
Which is, I mean, you say it sounds silly, right? But like, it's, I mean, it's not. But if that's what they're playing,
Yeah, but
that's what
ultimately
they're
it's the same.
playing.
I know, but ultimately it's the same as a third party. I just
Yeah, it
that whole
is.
idea, right? That it's just the whole idea because it's not going to take away market share. Like they're not going to
No,
convert people
not for
necessarily in
console
mass
sales.
to go. Right. That's what I'm
No.
saying. So it's like that's what a Trojan horse really would be because Sony's making money off of every sale, right? So they are. That was Phil's quote that everybody likes to bring up again, where Phil said they weren't going to do this because every game sold over there helps them buy more exclusivity away from games from Xbox, right? So I'm paraphrasing, but that was the basic quote that he said. So it is funny to see, obviously, because they are still producing consoles. They are still technically competing on some level. Whether you want to believe that or not, in the console space. So to see a bunch of Xbox first party titles show up on the top of Sony's list is, obviously pretty funny. It's obviously what the CFO and the people at the top of Microsoft wanted to see. So they're getting what they wanted out of this. And to Fuzzy, what Fuzzy was saying, and we talked about it, Forza Horizon is probably going to be the biggest one of all. That might sit atop their sales chart for quite a period of time. The way that Forza Horizon plays
could be majority of the year. Actually,
it could be. So it is obviously for what Microsoft is now doing, what Xbox is now doing. It's a win-win kind of for everybody because Sony's players don't have to make that decision. The Sony only fans don't have to make the decision. They're not forced to go buy an Xbox. They're not second guessing themselves over there. They get the games. Sony gets a portion of the cut, which is good for them and good for business overall. And Microsoft and Xbox gets exactly what they want, which is the big share of a new player base and introducing that player base to games that they don't necessarily see outside of a third-party title here and there from this massive umbrella of Xbox Studios now. So it's exactly what everybody kind of wanted, all rolled up into one thing right now.
Yeah,
with how the market's playing out.
And where I kind of go with the Trojan horse thing too is more so because it's not gonna it's not gonna affect PlayStation's console sales. In fact, it might actually help them, right? And it's Xbox size might actually make it worse for the time being until maybe next gen. We'll have to wait and see. But as far as the popularity of their brands,
right, correct,
the popularity of their franchises, the popularity of their games that have been put kind of in a it's like they've been ignored or been acted as less than from most of the games media and also a large part of the gaming community and casual gamers that just aren't seeing those games as much just because of the world that we live in where that kind of happens, right? And with these things being forward facing, them being on the platform is going to create more conversation about those games between the gamers that are there and playing them, and can actually increase the hype level of future games, the sales of those games for those franchises, and also kind of put those games into another level, or as far as how they're thought of with those out in media and also with the casual fan base also. So I think it's gonna be one of the most interesting things to watch is how some of the conversations change over time, right? As that whole exclusivity thing kind of melts away from Xbox's side, how they are more, how that fan base becomes more accepting of the games that are announced for Xbox because of the potential or excitement that they will get to play the game on PlayStation. Right?
Yep. Yeah. I think most of us were in agreement with this from the beginning. Like, if this was going to be the way, and obviously that's what it was. That's why we were all cheering out. Bring Halo, bring Gears, right? Like you were just talking about, Matt, for the franchises that, again, have, either been kind of out of the limelight or, kind of lost some of the popularity that they once had in Halo for a variety of reasons. It's not all just because of, Xbox, not selling as many consoles anymore, but it's also for a variety of reasons. But give them new lives. Give these franchises new lives. If you're going to reboot these franchises, if you're going to continue these franchises, especially the multiplayer side of things as well, give them a whole brand new pool of people who don't see games like this from their own first party. And these names and these games, while maybe not as popular as they once were, still have a lot of draw from the names themselves. People over on the PlayStation side, PlayStation only fans, know what Gears of War is. PlayStation fans know what Halo is. They know who Master Chief is.
Yeah.
So these franchises get a new life, and like we've said, in this competitive market nowadays, with how many games are out there, and we've seen what it's done to once very popular franchises, not just Xbox franchises, but industry franchises that are no longer around anymore. What you have to get your game to as many people as possible if you want those types of games to survive nowadays, to give them the best chance. And of course, we, as fans of most of these franchises, like, I'm a huge Gears fan from back in the day. I want to see Gears continue forward. If this is what it takes by putting it over on Sony, by potentially bringing it to Switch 2 now as well, please do it. Xbox, please. There's no reason not to, because I want these franchises to continue to move forward. I even want Halo, as a casual Halo fan, I want Halo to stick around because I still think that there's a billion Halo stories I want to be told. And if this brings in massive amounts of money where Xbox can reinvest in this IP, once again, hey, bring it on, man. Bring it on. I'm all for this shit. All for it. Might as well at this point.
Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I don't think it really is going to have an impact on what Xbox does with their hardware in the future,
No.
either way. And as far as PlayStation goes, like at the end of the day, like yeah, PlayStation is going to do their thing, Nintendo's going to do their thing. And if I focus on my ecosystem and where I'm getting my games and the deals that I'm getting, like I'm still relishing in all the glory of those games hitting in Game Pass, as we were talking about the amount of games hitting, even just coming soon, right? And for me, that's good enough because I can play them on my Xbox and play them on my PC. Something else I wanted to get into a little bit too, because and we talked about this a little bit on PM of the PM after the Switch 2 thing, was that handheld again. Because if anything, the impact that the Switch 2 Direct had on me was, okay, I see that. I want it. After seeing all the third-party games getting announced for it, all these other kind of things. And then there was the whole exclusive Nintendo games being expensive thing, and I was like, okay. Well, that would be the reason I would want that, would be for those games, not the third-party stuff. Because I already have access to those games now, and if I did want to play them in a handheld type format, or want to, have that experience, well, there's other devices that already exist, and we already know there's an Xbox type device coming out soon, or at some point this year, that is going to be capable of playing almost all of these games, with the exception to that one From Software game, right? And also I get access to Game Pass and all those other kind of things on it, and play the games natively and all that. Like why, for myself, would I be more interested in buying a Switch 2 than I would be buying that Xbox Asus device? Right. And it's kind of like a conversation I was having with myself after, as like the Asus device will probably be more powerful, right? It'll play more games, have access to more deals and more storefronts. It'll have all my Game Pass stuff on there. The only thing I would be missing is the Switch 2 exclusive, which at this point there's nothing really that I care too much about that I can't live without, especially not for $80. So I'm kind of really starting to be anticipating and wanting to find out more information about the Asus Xbox device, and I'm kind of getting excited to see that. What I'm anticipating still is that the the console games that are console library for third party stuff, especially that is not part of Xbox Anywhere and all that, will not be playable on the device unless you um, stream them or do console streaming or do stream your own game feature or any of those other kind of things, right? But for all the games that are on Xbox PC or Xbox Anywhere, plus also Steam and these other things, right? I'll have access to all those games, which is better value for me as a customer, the way I look at it, right? The console may be more expensive. I don't know. Like as Fuzzy was saying earlier on when he was talking about it, like you're anticipating maybe like $600 plus if it's like a higher end device, right? If it's actually a ROG Ally 2, you know,
Mhm.
type device. But for me, I'm even like, okay, that's even better because it's more future proof as far as playing future games and stuff. And it's not too much more than a Switch 2 at that point either, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Like the Switch 2 reveal kind of had me like, well, maybe I really am interested in getting this Xbox thing when they announce it. And I'm curious if how many other people have that same mentality. Like, I'm wondering when they're gonna give more details too. Um,
I'm hoping by the June showcase or sooner. The sooner the better, I think, especially during this kind of uncertainty. If they have a firm price based on where it's manufactured and given, what could or might not be applied
Right.
to it type of thing, um, get it out there now or shortly after the Switch price. If you're within $50 to $100, I think it's then again, I'm thinking of it from a casual standpoint that might not be centered around Nintendo. Like if it's the casual that normally plays on PlayStation or something to that effect, then in the Switch price and you have better third party graphics and they play better and prices aren't quite beat over the head type of thing. Maybe access to Steam, all on that same thing. Yeah, I think that's the better value out the box. But the Nintendo fan might not see it that way. But then once they buy that Switch and they get the first party stuff that they bought the Switch for, and they start looking at 2K on their device, which they already have in hand, versus 2K on that other device or on the Xbox device. I don't know. If they can swing it, they might pick up both and be like, you know what, I'm not going to play any third parties on this Switch 2. I'll play them on this other thing here, and I can still hook it to my TV, or I could take it on the go just like my Switch. So I don't know. I just want Xbox to nail the messaging and the pricing
yeah.
without like the sticker shock. 'Cause some people had sticker shock for the Xbox One X. I thought the price was fine.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people were hoping it was $100 less, but it wound up being worth every penny. So
Yeah.
if they show that this device is worth every penny, people will buy it. And who knows, maybe they reach that audience that they couldn't before with their consoles because people want to take it with them, kind of thing. I mean, you could take the Series S with you, but even when you do that screen thing, it's not really meant to be portable. You can kind of force the issue, but yeah, their upcoming handheld until they make their own in-house handheld. I think that's a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And like some people in the chat were saying, yeah, I think it would be competitive if it's within that $50 to $100 range. I mean, 150 might be pushing it, but then again, graphically, it's going to probably be on par or better with this gen, especially if it's a ROG Ally 2. So,
Hmm.
or the same level as ROG Ally 2 and stuff. So,
Yeah, I see a lot of conversation in the chat about the tariffs and stuff like that too, affecting this hardware and especially also for the Asus thing. We don't know, like even with the Switch 2 where they just delayed their pre-orders and stuff. Like it seems like I everything's always up in the air with that stuff, and as soon as they get announced, they end up getting rescinded as well after deals get made between the countries and stuff. So like anything's up in the air with all of that kind of stuff in the coming years, in the coming months, and the coming days. Like you just never know what the next news report's going to come out the next day regarding any of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I know a lot of people are talking about, yeah, it's in the chat, like manufacturing going to the US, right, for a lot of these things, which would be awesome, create more jobs and all that kind of stuff. And it won't end up being a better end result for consumers as far as the price. Like at the end of the day, like electronics made in the US are probably going to cost as much or more possibly than even stuff from overseas with the tariffs, right? So at the end of the day, like the pricing, if those stay, if they stay, the pricing will end up being more, right, for all of the hardware components, whether they end up being manufactured in the US or they stay overseas. But as we've seen already numerous times since the Trump administration took over this time, there's been tariffs put on companies. There's been negotiations, or not companies, but countries, and then negotiations, and then they go away, and then they come back, and then they go away, and then they go to another country, and they go away, and it's kind of been what's happened so far. So I wouldn't necessarily put too much stock or anything into any of that news going on right now. I think any of it is also too hard to tell what's going to happen with the decisions these companies are going to make, with the pricing, with delays, any of that kind of stuff. The one thing we know is that these companies need to make money to survive, and they need to keep doing business. Right? They can't just like shut down for 3 years while they just try and figure out and wait this out. You know what I mean? So they're at the end of the day, there's still going to be stuff happening. These companies are still going to move forward with plans one way or another. Let's say Asus decides, hey, we were manufacturing in this country. There's a tariff put on it. Let's go switch to this other country and just sort of move all of our manufacturing and make a deal with people over there. Oh shit, now they have a tariff on them. What are we gonna do now? Oh, let's go back to the other one because it was removed. Like I there's a lot of this crazy stuff goes on. This is all about the actual countries negotiating and stuff. I'm not trying to get political and stuff here. This is just about like the business side of it, right? But like at the end of the day, it's gonna be interesting to keep an eye on. But I wouldn't put too much stock into like, hey, Nintendo made that decision right now because that was just put in place. Right, and that's going to have an effect on every single manufacturer making anything in the future. You know, time will tell. These things are done for a reason, and we'll see what happens with all the negotiations that take place.
Positive sign. TikTok got another extension, so that could mean there's more negotiations to be done. Maybe there's a stay or a put on some of these tariffs, like you said. Negotiation.
Yeah, there's
also
also
our friend.
There's also at times certain companies get exceptions, right?
Yeah.
And that's always a possibility with certain things too. You know, I mean, Pong, you probably keep up with this stuff more than me, right? But am I out off the wall with my thinking on this?
No, it's just again, this has been a long time coming. Because all these countries have tariffs against us and have had tariffs against us for decades. It's the part that a lot of people don't understand, is that they've been taking advantage of us, and that's why our manufacturing moved out. We gave up all our manufacturing. So there's a reason behind this, like you said, Mav, that this is happening. And Trump's doing it all at one time against basically everybody that's been taking advantage of us. So it is a little different this time around, and that's why people are freaking out, and that's why the stock market's freaking out. But ultimately, these aren't meant to be permanent tariffs. Okay, these aren't meant to, be here forever. This is meant to renegotiate deals, to bring back manufacturing to the United States. Hopefully, that's one of the big ones. But also, to again say, oh, you guys have been tariffing us for this long, our products for this long. So do you guys want to go ahead and back down off of that? We'll back down off our side. We won't do this. It's all negotiating tactics right now. That's what he's doing. And it's already started working. Some of the countries are already bending knees and talking about lowering their tariffs as long as we lower ours back down again. So this isn't going to be a permanent thing. It is going to be a temporary thing. Will we see price increases? Of course we will. The GPU market right now is already in flux. I saw a couple posts today from some of the custom PC builders telling their customers, listen, prices are increasing. There's nothing we could do about it. Like this is coming. So be prepared, and it's going to be bad. So certain hardware, certain obviously electronics and tech is going to be a big one because it's made in all these countries that are getting the biggest tariffs for the most part. So that is going to be affected. It could, obviously affect handhelds. Obviously, it will. It can affect the Switch 2, which is, again, why Nintendo put that pause on the pre-sale process. I would not doubt that it potentially comes in at a higher price than they initially announced in America while the tariffs are in place. But I think all the hardware stuff is going to be temporary as far as the price increases go. So will you have to decide if you're going to wait some of this stuff out? Yeah. But I would expect a lot of tariffs are going to be over with before the end of the year. That's where things are headed right now. So ultimately, I don't think that this is going to be a ripple. It'll be a time that everybody kind of remembered, but overall, it's not going to be something where we look back and it's permanent and everybody's freaking out forever. So I think, again, you might have to wait a bit if you're in a tight spot with money, obviously. So,
yeah.
Yep.
And some of these things could happen sooner than we think.
Yes,
too.
very soon.
So,
It could all end tomorrow. Like the majority of them could all end tomorrow. Like if the countries all come together and say we're just done, fine, we'll back down off of ours. Then he's already said he'll back down off of his. Like that's all it is. It's reciprocal. That's exactly what this has been, about. So yeah, it could be instantaneous, or it could be dragged out for some months. But I think by the end of the year, you'll see a lot of them have deals in place, and we're kind of done with it. So especially the big ones.
Yeah, Brett Bingham says you can't produce everything in the United States. Some things like minerals and agricultural products can only be produced in certain areas of the world. There's a lot of factors to all this stuff.
It's a whole different show, Brett Bingham. That's a whole different
100%. Like there's,
this is a big topic. This is a big topic that most people don't. Again, it's tough to follow along, and obviously you're going. News is going to portray one thing, one-sided, depending on who you're listening to, and obviously. Trump is a whole separate situation for a lot of people. So that also confuses things because people aren't necessarily honest when they're talking about what's going on. So there's a lot of that, but this is it's a big topic, but it's affecting this industry directly because tech is getting hit hard right now because of the countries that are getting slammed with this, Taiwan and Vietnam and China, et cetera. They're getting slammed with these tariffs. So that's where all of our chip manufacturing went to and our hardware manufacturing went to and stuff that Brett Bingham's talking about. That's why it's affecting our conversations here because obviously that's a direct impact, right?
Yeah.
So it's all at one time. Like I said, this is all at one time. This isn't a normal thing where you just lay massive tariffs on everybody across the globe. Like you said, Matt, normally it's like a here thing.
That's the way it's been.
Yeah.
I'm not like super
targeted
into
industry, targeted
following.
products.
Yes, targeted industries, auto industries, usually that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to add today, like, hey, come to Mazda because our car. Hey, so soon they're going to be so much more expensive. You better buy one today.
Did you hear what Ford's doing for everybody? They're giving customers employee pricing for the next few months. Yeah, so if you walk into a Ford dealership, go ahead, Fuzz. You know more than I do. So Fuzz was a part of
All right, so the employee pricing that because even Stellantis is doing this. I encourage you, if you're not looking for the headache of negotiation yourself, their employee pricing is reasonable. But the true employee pricing for Ford in particular, only because I have family that are engineers, you would get a PIN. The PIN pricing is substantially less. But keep in mind my price points that I'm going to give you.
If I remember, Fuzz, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you don't know the exact price. Because I did sell used cars for a time for Ford and Lincoln Mercury. Employee pricing was $500 above cost. I believe at the end of the day, the real pricing that you're talking about, I think it was $500 over dealer cost. I think that's how low it was if you wanted to buy a new car. So I think that's what it was.
Do they give that to new employees? I'll just go get a part-time job.
Well, it's after you make it past your probation period, but it's like the assembly line workers or the designers, engineers, things like that. Their PIN, I think it's like PIN level 1. A $50,000 truck could, not all of them, because it depends on options and certain timings as far as supply chain, could be as low as $28K. If the sticker says 50, it was $28K. But that was mainly on trucks. And it was limited so you couldn't get it on specialized vehicles.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you
why
wanted a
trucks
Cobra,
always have the biggest, like 15,000 off of MSRP this week only at blah 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 Dodge. Get your
They're
Ram.
so overcharged. It's not
Yeah.
even funny. They're overpriced so much.
but you could do that on your own with trucks. Just wait until the end of the month.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a vehicle that's on their lots for 90 days. So look at the inspection sticker in the window. I don't know if all states do the inspection sticker with the date base 1 year from the time it was inspected, which would have been the time it hit the showroom or hit the lot. But any of them that are 90 days or more on the lot, come there the last week of the month, hit higher volume dealers. Smaller dealers, if you're a repeat customer, can be okay. But higher volume dealers, especially when their lot is packed and they got trucks back to front in like the back lot and there's a secondary lot or a third lot and they're loaded, they're going to want to move some numbers. Or it might be a particular salesman where the rest of the guys might have had, they might have had their 30 or 40 or whatever for the month. This guy might be struggling with 20.
That's what I was
you're
gonna
just
say,
enough to get,
look in the manager's office that everybody can see where they do the deals. The guy, the room where the salesman keeps going back there off and on to just talk bullshit and then walk back to you with a piece of paper. Look in that office where they have the scorecard. You can see all the check marks on the salesman's names about how many cars they sold. Look for the one that has the least amount and ask for him. Just like walk in there first, look in there, and whoever has the least amount of dashes, be like, yeah, is this guy here? And that guy's gonna be the most desperate there. And also I guarantee you the managers and stuff will want to get him a sale more.
They will.
Yeah,
They do actually do that. Yes,
yeah.
yes, it's true.
Yeah, and if you can have your loan in hand prior, or if you're lucky enough to have cash in hand, be ready to be hard enough on those numbers to walk out the door. Go for an out the door.
Yeah,
price.
once you get past the initial salesman, then you got to still be. You can't go ahead and sigh a relief and like, okay, we're good now. No, when you get into the finance manager's office, that you got a second time that you have to go ahead and be ready to walk out the door because he's going to try to screw you while you're in that office too. So yeah, that's another one. Yeah, it's a double layer.
Double screw job.
Yeah,
I would say if you were in the market, intentionally in the market within the next month or so, you might want to at least peek at some of the lots or some of the brands you were looking at. Because the hardest thing with cars now, it's not like what it was before where 60% of the car could be made in the US and that was good enough, or 60% being in North America, which would include Canada and Mexico. But the way things are now, it has to be built here, which the supply chain, I've been in this. It's so far from that right now. Like you could have a transmission that was 60% of it was assembled and sourced here in the States, but there could be one particular ring gear or a particular like shaft or something in it that was sourced from Germany or sourced from Mexico or sourced from wherever, and that screws the whole deal. And because those are, it would be considered a commodity price, you would have to base it off of the whole piece not being the made in America piece, so that would still kind of screw up the equation on the car. So it's going to get messy, but I would love to see more of the stuff come here for assembly, but I do want to see some leeway between Canada and Mexico because there's a reason why a lot of the domestic stuff went to Canada and Mexico and why a lot of the European stuff and Japanese stuff went to like down south for their assembly plants and things like that. So
yeah, we got Toyota.
We'll see how that.
And close to us, it was a big deal when they came here. Yeah, they got a lot of jobs. There's like a whole like mini city within the city formed around that whole place. It's always a big deal. All the people that you'd meet, like that came from California or came from wherever the plant was before. I work for Toyota. I'm not from here, but they live in this apartment complex that they built solely for the employees of these people and stuff. It's
nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you see that stuff happen. That happens in Dallas quite a bit. Like around this area, we get a lot of companies that end up moving here. So we'll see. Maybe
there's your car talk of the evening.
Yeah, maybe we'll see more of that happen. Over time.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope.
Yeah,
right. So.
Alvin hit us with a $5 super chat. I appreciate Alvin. He says, I just want to point out that Nintendo announced $80 games before their
Correct.
message today, implying this was the
Yeah.
plan pre-tariffs. Nindy not off the hook. Yeah, 100%.
Correct.
The $80 digital games have nothing to do with the tariffs. I guarantee you, they have everything to do with let's see how this goes,
Bottom line.
and let's see how much we can get for Mario Kart.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you talk about
Mario
hardware,
Kart Horizon.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
talk about hardware. You talk about physical game cartridges, things that may actually have cost of actual manufacturing cost in there and all that kind of stuff.
What? When if third parties start charging Nintendo fans $80, but they don't elsewhere, like Xbox, like charges Nintendo fans $80 for their first party games, but we still get them over here for like
What-
$70.
We've in a weird way, we've already seen something similar to that
Have we?
because Nintendo published Skyrim Anniversary Edition. Remember?
Oh
on
yeah, and there
on
was an
the Switch?
upcharge on there, wasn't?
and
That's
theirs
right.
was more
There
expensive
was.
than anybody else's because it was
Bro,
they
can you
they
imagine
published it
if
there.
it becomes the norm?
Yeah, so like for example, the Dusk Bloods game or whatever it's called,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
being partner game. I don't know if it's published by Nintendo
That's a good question.
or who, you know.
Yeah, but it's exclusive, so it might
exclusive,
fall
so
into that
it could
category.
be like, well, this is our Elden Ring or this is our Bloodborne. We're gonna charge $80 for it. They could try and do that. I don't know. You know, it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And also like we said, like it's gonna have a ripple effect throughout the industry. That's why it's so against it. And good news is for most of the third parties, you know, their games will go on sale at some point. So if you're not happy with the price and you want to voice your displeasure, you can get it later. But that was my other thing with the Nintendo games is, yeah, not likely they're going to go on sale too much, you know. And if they do, it'll probably be for not very much off. So, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But it has increased my interest in the Xbox Asus device that I'm eagerly awaiting more news and information on. We'll see if that comes sooner or later. But yeah, also like said, maybe because of the stuff going on with the economical environment with everything, like maybe that could potentially cause delays with announcements specifically regarding pricing and release dates and stuff like that as well. So we'll just have to keep our ears to the ground and talk about the news when it comes in. But yeah, I can't wait for more information. I want to see it. I want to know like what the layout looks like 100%. I want to know what the buttons are going to be like. I want to know exactly what all is going to be playable on the device, how it's going to work with the Xbox launcher that's supposed to be on this thing, going into Windows mode, straight up Windows as well to access the other storefronts. All of that stuff I'm going to be really intrigued to see, because if that's a device that has all of that, then that's going to be the best handheld for me, because I'll just be easily, it'll have the stuff easily accessible that I wanted already. And then it'll have access to everything else more capable than something like a Steam Deck would, right? So, yeah, keep my ears up for that. It was interesting that you were almost on board with the Switch 2, Pong. After being
It's close.
that
It's
close.
close. That close.
would there be like something that what would it take for you to be interested in one of these Xbox devices? Would it be the console games being playable natively?
Yeah, I think that's going to go a long ways to it. Again, it all depends on the situation. I said I'm not. If they get it so that it's completely, basically seamless,
Dockable
that
to potentially?
yes,
Yeah.
that the ecosystem is completely seamless, and it does. There's certainly I would have interest in having all of it, just because I like the tech behind it. And if I literally what I've talked about, where I got my game on the go, I walk into my house and I hit one button. The box next to my TV powers up, whatever we're going to call that box. And I just basically hit one button and it brings my game over, and my save is like there instantaneously. And it just pops on my TV and I pick up right where I left off on my handheld, like that, or on my PC, vice versa, like that. And we're getting close. Again, the PC switching back and forth between PC and console is almost like that. It takes a second for the saves in the cloud to come down, and that's it. You're right back to where you were again. So if they get that working like that, yeah, I probably just get it just because it's cool as hell. Again, I I don't play handheld like that. Like I don't have any place to do it. When I'm at work, I'm at work. I don't have the problem of not having a TV dedicated for my gaming, right? So unless my life changes in some way and that becomes an issue, in some form or fashion, where I have more time to play a handheld, but I could still see myself investing for sure if they pull that off. But yeah, native console game playing will be a big one for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. My
Callie
whole
says,
library though. Dope.
Callie says, I don't know if I should buy the Asus Xbox this year if the official Xbox handheld should be next year. Phil, I mean, it was late last year when he said a few years away.
Yeah, I think
So
we're at least 2 out from that one, depending on when they launch the box. If they launch the box next year, I would expect the handheld in 27. If the box is 27, then I expect the handheld in 28. I think
Yeah.
that's how it's going to look. I think we'll see.
yeah, and I think they're still going to be working towards that whole, like, you know, the one ecosystem thing to get all
Yes.
that ironed out by next gen, and then, you know, like that's why a device like this Asus coming out is important, because I think it's going to be something that is transitions and eventually updates into kind of evolving into that, you know, over time, whereas they prepare that whole future of Xbox where it is one ecosystem, right? Because again, that last hurdle is the console games playable on hybrid PC type devices, and maybe only the next gen devices will be capable of that, right? Maybe there's some trick or workaround at that point, right? But yeah, I think that's what they're all working on right now. So because that's what they keep talking about too, right? So we'll see it, and we'll get there eventually. Kelly says, I dislike the ROG Ally thumbsticks. They're super loose. Hopefully the Xbox Asus one is better. Maybe. Are they Hall Effect? The Asus ROG Ally thumbsticks?
I would hope so. Again,
Think they
that was
are.
one thing I was sorely disappointed in with the Switch 2. I can't believe they're not doing Hall effect.
Yeah. That and the LCD
Anyway,
screen as opposed to OLED.
yeah.
I do like the size of the screen though.
Yeah. The size is great. But yeah, not having OLED and not having Hall effect. Come on.
They're going to sell you the OLED like 2 years from now.
I know.
Hall
I know.
effects,
I said it
they're
last
like,
time.
no, it doesn't exist. Buy new Joy-Cons.
Yeah, for $100 or whatever the hell they are now. $90, I think they said. Jesus.
How much how much is a ROG Ally right now? Like a ROG Ally X? Like $500-$600, something like that?
Okay, so you can get a Z1, just the regular Z1, I think is 500. You can find some places that might be a little bit less on sale.
Sam's
The
Club,
Z1
$479.
Extreme,
$479.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at almost $800. So it really depends on the chipset. And I think they're up to Z2 and Z2 Extremes now, which I was kind of thinking that might be what the Xbox One is. But it's seeming like it might be for the ROG Ally 2, which I don't even know if they're ready for Z3 or what that would be at this point. But it should be the next leap of what you would expect also from like the Steam Deck 2, the Legion Go 2, the MSI Claw 2. All of those will be more in tune with this generation of console. Because like those handhelds are below like the Series S right now as it stands. They're above like a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X overall, but they're below the Series S, at least on speed and memory. Terabyte wise, power wise, because they adjust for the smaller screen. If you could make a portable Series S, the battery life would be the thing that sucks compared to those other chipsets.
Yeah, right on.
So,
Well, time will tell for everything, right? But yeah, everybody, this was fun tonight. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of news to talk about for Xbox, but just wanted to have some conversations about some of this stuff. And thanks to everybody for hanging out with us and having some truck talk, some tariff talk, some Asus ROG Ally talk, some Nintendo talk, and also Xbox games coming soon in April and also in May as well. So yeah, it's gonna be, I think, a lot more news coming up probably in the next couple months leading into June showcase, and then we'll have I can't wait for that. You know, we're starting to gonna get closer to the whole rumor mill speculation stuff about new games and all these other kind of things, because that always kind of ramps up here in the next couple months leading into June. So I'm excited to see all that, because that's where speculation town starts to really go crazy. But yeah, everybody, thank you for tuning in. And Fuzzy Belvedere, thanks for being here as always, bro. Tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Always fun being on here with you guys. Shout out to Jasper for being able to join us tonight as well. For those who want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just search social media for Fuzzy Belvedere. Pixelated Echoes Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, me and 3-Bit. And then Xbox Lunch Break Special with Boom on Monday at 12 noon. And then FSP, same channel here at 9 p.m. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Thanks, Fuzz. Appreciate you as always, dude. Pong Soul, what about you, sir?
Oh, you guys know the drill. Actually, it's been 2 weeks, everybody. But Steele and I are going to be back tomorrow morning for Living Split Screen. And we are raring to go. I know Steele's happy to be back. It took him a little bit longer than he expected to get settled into the new place. And obviously, it's still ongoing. But at least he's got his computer space set up. He did post pictures where he's got triple monitors now. He's got the tri-monitor setup going. I'm a little jealous of that. But yeah, so Living Split Screen is going to be back tomorrow after a 2-week hiatus. All things go well, it'll be a 3+ hour show as always. We start at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's 9 o'clock Central Time in the morning. We take you from your morning to your afternoon to your evening, depending on where you are in the world. So we go live, raw, and cut tomorrow morning, and we're going to have a great time. We got a lot of catching up to do. Steele has been playing Berserker Kazan. Steele's the new game guy at this point, so he gets all the cool stuff, whereas I'm just like, yeah, I'm playing like Age, like yeah, that's where I'm at now. But Steele's gonna have the lowdown of Berserker Kazan and probably a couple other games as well. We'll probably talk some South of Midnight. Like I said, he's got some thoughts and has had some thoughts about that game as well. So he's going to we're gonna have some fun conversations tomorrow, and the chat does lead the conversations. So drop on by and join us for Living Split Screen's all one word. As of right now, the Shop Podcast is still on hiatus. So keep your eyes and ears open when we return. And I'm sure it'll be Sunday afternoons as soon as we do get back. So shout out to PT Gabe Blam. Miss you, brother. And then, of course, next week it starts all over again. Double Barrel Games, the channel. Boomstick is the man. 5 days a week, but Tuesdays, it's all good things green for the Xbox Factor podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. My week will start right here on this channel with this man right here, the one and only Mav for PM and the PM, Pong and Mav and the PM, where I take the lead chair for an evening and we have a good time catching up as we are always doing on Thursday night. So be there next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, unless, of course, one of us is busy, which does happen more frequently than we would like, but it does happen. So, other than that, you guys know the drill by now. Pong Soul everywhere. You know how to find me. Follow me, and I will follow you back. And it is the golden age of gaming, people. Appreciate you all coming out here. Nothing but love and respect, whether we agree or disagree. It does not matter. That's a part of the community. That's part of the discussions that need to be had in this industry. So thank you all. Love you all for the support. Get out there. Enjoy your weekend. Play what you love. Love what you play. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, brother.
Right on, man. Thank you. And hey, everybody, including audio listeners, appreciate you all. Remember, if you like the content, hit the like button, share it out, notification bells, all that kind of cool stuff. Greatly helps people find us. You rock. See you again soon. Take it easy. Peace out. Bye.